the Houston Astros and the St. Louis Cardinals. Back on July 20th, a series of 3 games at Minute Maid Park. It was all Houston. In Game 1, Carlos Lee, a 3-run homer, and that was all the offense that the Astros would need. Game 2, he didn't stop there. This, a grand slam out to left field. His second home run in 2 days. That put them ahead, and they never relinquished the lead. Game 3, Miguel Tejada, game-winning single in the 9th. It was only Ryan Franklin's second blown save of the season, giving Houston the sweep. And thoughts of first place at that time. They begin tonight, 4 games out in the Central. The Cardinals in second place, a half game behind Chicago. Welcome to Cardinals baseball. Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin, and obviously that sweep was big at the time for Houston.
It really is, and now that Berkman was not available in that series, he's on the disabled list, but they did not need his big bat as they had the big boppers and enough offense to defeat the Cardinals. So really have to turn it around. The Cardinals got to remember they swept the Astros here in April.
So outscored in that series 18-11, and now you look at tonight and Saturday and Sunday. Cardinals wrap up the homestand with these 3 games against the Astros, and you're talking about being in your division and winning games. So these are very, very important.
They really are. You got Mitchell Boggs up there against a guy, Brian Moeller, who's always beaten the Cardinals. So this is a pivotal game. You got tomorrow, you've got Wandy Rodriguez, could be the pitcher of the month for last month, and you've got Carpenter going. So you'd like to see if you can sneak out a win here today, win tomorrow, and then go for the sweep.
And you think about this lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals. This is a different looking lineup from the last time, obviously, when we were in Houston. But it all starts with the starters. We'll talk about that when we come back. It's Cardinals baseball tonight on Fox Sports Midwest.
Brian Moeller, the 37-year-old right-hander, has really had the Cardinals. Second time Mitchell Boggs has been recalled here in 09. He's 1-0 at the big league level, 6-4, and 13 starts at Memphis, pitching very well of late, and we really look forward to this matchup.
So it's a pair of right-handers tonight. It's game one between the Cardinals and the Astros. Carlos Lee getting ready. He's got his yogurt. Oh, watch out. His teammates are stretching. Clubhouse Confidential with Jim Hayes coming up next.
Do I like our chances better now? Absolutely. We've made some upgrades. Our lineup is unbelievable. Our pitching staff has done a great job for us all year long. As long as we get a good job out of them and we score some runs, I think we'll be all right.
The Cards have won 9 of 11 against the Astros at Busch Stadium. They'll try to keep it going tonight. Cards and Astros coming up on Fox Sports Midwest. Runs all over Busch Stadium, but he runs the RoboCam as well. The camera, which sits atop the screen behind home plate, is controlled by a joystick, which T. West operates from behind myself and Al Raboski. But before the game, it's T. West time. Some call it gutsy, some call it downright dangerous. Either way, baseball's boundaries have never been crossed like this. On behalf of all Cardinal fans, we'd like to thank Tony West and the rest of our Cardinals crew, who make every fan watching feel like they're actually at the ballpark. For the Cardinals, it's been 20 years of Tony West, and here's to at least 20 more. Burgers by Auto Tire. For the lowest prices in town, we shop the competitors so you don't have to. By Chevy. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. And by the State of Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Unbelievable weather here on the 31st of July in St. Louis. Over 40,000 expected here tonight. Houston has made their way to the Gateway City. Cecil Cooper's lineup. Michael Bourne, the speedster. Kaz Matsui and Miguel Tejada. Carlos Lee, Jeff Blum, and Hunter Pence, the all-star. Pudge Rodriguez, Chris Coast, the first baseman, and Brian Moeller, the pitcher. And they will face Mitchell Boggs back in the big leagues, and he has made 4 starts, 5 appearances with the Major League Club, and his numbers presented by Marshall Wireless.
1-0 here, 6-4 in the minor leagues, but he's won his last 3 starts at Memphis, allowing just 1 earned run in 21 innings. ERA of 0.43, and for the month of July, 3-1 with a 1.73 in 4 starts.
A look at the Cardinals defense tonight. Holiday, Ankiel, and Ludwig in the outfield. It's DeRosa, Lugo, Schumacher, and Albert Pujols along the infield. And the battery this evening, Mitchell Boggs and Jason LaRue. Cardinals defense presented by Auto Tire. Well, what do you think? What can we expect from Mitchell Boggs tonight?
Well, expect if he can get the ball down with a sinker and a good slider, we got a chance to see a pretty good game.
Very good. His last 3 outings in the minor leagues. One of the concerns, certainly with Boggs, walks and base runners allowed. Even though he does have a winning record, 1-0 ERA, just over 3 with the Major League Club. Awful lot of base runners in his starts.
And Danny's had the most trouble with left-handed batters. They had 333 against him, and to add to it.
It was touched by a fan, so a ground rule double for Michael Bourne. That's how we start this series.
It's a slap hitter. He just slaps it right inside the third base bag. Really no way to defense that, but you need to stop this game. You got Bourne with his great speed out there in scoring position, and there you see just kind of slapping at the outside pitch and catches a break with it being fair.
And lefties now 17 for 49 against Mitchell Boggs, well above that 330 mark. Here's Kaz Matsui, the second baseman, hitting .253 with 4 home runs and 25 RBIs. Certainly this is a Houston club that feels confident in facing the Cardinals after that last series.
That's exactly right. They had their way with the Cardinals in Houston, but they got swept by the Redbirds here in April.
And a bunt here by Matsui. Boggs only played a first, and they just got him by a step with Schumacher covering. So sack 1-4 on the play, and it brings in Tejada, all-star shortstop, hitting .327 with 9 home runs and 60 driven in. He had the game-winning hit in Game 3 against the Cardinals just over a week ago. Considering that this is the quote-unquote 5th spot in the rotation for the Cardinals, you know, Tony La Russa and John Mozeliak, could be a situation where Mitchell Boggs makes a start tonight. Very easily could be sent down after the game. And essentially you don't need a 5th starter for about the next 11 days.
So you have to remain down 10 days. So that would fit in that time frame if he was sent down and activated Khalil.
And the first pitch is strike. Carlos Lee on deck. And Khalil Green took batting practice and in uniform with the Cardinals tonight. Not activated. What you're concerned with, though, is Brendan Ryan's ankle and that, the golf ball that developed after he took a foul ball off the ankle. It really swelled up quickly.
Remember 10 days ago we were talking about what would happen if there was an injury to Brendan Ryan. Of course, that was before the Lugo trade. Now you have some cover.
Here's a 1-1 from Boggs. Reach for and lined over the head of Schumacher, just out of his reach, and a base hit. RBI 1-0 Houston. So Tejada picks up his 61st RBI. Just over the outstretched arm and glove here of Skip Schumacher.
Kind of a helpless feeling. As you can see, Schumacher's mindset was just, can I wait, and then jump as high as I can and see if I can snare it. And he comes up a little short.
Boy, it was a busy day around baseball with the trades. The Cardinals stand pat, but they did their work last 10 days or so. There's some pretty big deals, most notably Jake Peavy going to the White Sox from San Diego.
How about Scott Rowland?
And he's back in the National League Central Division, back with Walt Jocketty, and
pending a waiver of his no-trade clause.
And that is caught by Holiday. Back to first, Tejada.
But Dan and I kind of think that that's a given because he grew up rooting and watching both Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals, and usually the easiest way to get around a no-trade clause is called money.
And Scott has, I believe, another year on his contract, but as you're saying, you know, if it's a situation where there's an option on a contract, usually it's picked up or something is negotiated.
Yeah, a lot of times you can just, you know, pay a bonus or something to get him to waiver his no trade. But I would think he would love seeing the chance to come back to the National League.
Scott Rowland traded to the Reds, Jared Washburn to the Tigers, Victor Martinez to the Red Sox, and then they flipped their first baseman LaRoche, who they just picked up, and Jake Peavy to the White Sox.
That's just some of the trades, but the biggest ones.
2-0 the count with 2 outs and a runner at first. How about San Diego? We've got Cincinnati and San Diego on the next homestand after we go to New York and Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh's a team that has made a bunch of deals. Cincinnati made a deal with the Yankees. They gave up Hairston and then picked up Scott Rowland, so they'll have a new look at third base. And San Diego You know, you talk about the Padres. Jake Peavy initially rejected that deal to the White Sox a few months ago. This has popped up. And Pujols has got it. RBI by Tejada. His 61st, 1-0 after half inning. After the RBI by Tejada. And let's take a look at the Cardinal lineup. Skip Schumacher, the second baseman, followed by Julio Lugo at short, Albert Pujols over at first. Holiday, the cleanup man. What a start he's off to. Then Ludwig, Ankiel, DeRosa, LaRue, and Mitchell Boggs, the pitcher, hitting 125. So Brian Moeller, our Marcia Wireless starter, 7-6. Throw those numbers out the window because of what he has done against the St. Louis Cardinals. He has just been outstanding against the Redbirds. As far as guys that face the Cardinals, Brian Moeller is one of the best statistically.
Well, it's amazing. He owns that 5-game winning streak. He's 5-0 in his career against the Cardinals, and in 8 career starts against St. Louis, his team is 8-0.
And the first pitch to Schumacher is a strike.
And that 12-game, a career-high 12-game hitting streak snapped on Wednesday, and trying to get a new one going.
Hard hit to second. Matsui backhands it. Good play. Over to Chris Coast for the first out. Let's take a look at the defense for Houston tonight. Presented by Auto Tire. Lee, the speedster born, and Hunter Pence, the all-star. Blum, Tejada, Matsui, and Coast on the infield. And Moeller and Hut Rodriguez, the battery tonight. The Astros defense presented by Auto Tire. Tonight's the night. Let's see if the Cardinals can't get to Brian Moeller. Julio Lugo hitting .393, a former Houston Astros shortstop. 1 home run and 3 RBIs. That home run was against the Phillies, and with the Cardinals, with the addition of Holiday and Lugo, Al, against left-handed pitching, which has been a sore spot for the Cardinals last couple of years. We're hitting well below .250 this year collectively as a team. You figure if you get into postseason playing, you have to face a lefty. Good pick by Coast. That's really going to be beneficial, the trades that the team has made.
And one of the guys you got to get going against left-handers is Pujols. It's a little surprising. He's hitting about .280 against them, but there's another guy that Albert has hit very well against Moeller. He's got a .529 average with 3 home runs.
Pujols at .322, 34 homers, 92 driven in. On base percentage, .443. Another terrific year for the Cardinal slugger. Just stay healthy. You think about Pujols and Holiday and Ludwig Middle of this lineup, all three could stay healthy. They're all three going to put up big numbers. Pujols really already has for a season. Albert pops it up behind home plate. Lands below us, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. It really does change how opposing team, though, will pitch to Albert Pujols, having Holiday behind him and then Ludwig. You really have to be careful.
And it may be a little different tonight with this pitcher because both Holiday and Ludwig have struggled as the first 3 guys in the Cardinal lineup have hit Moeller very well, but then you have Holiday and Ludwig that have combined are just 3 for 17.
And an 0-2 pitch. Pujols into center field. Bourne is back with room and makes the catch. We played 1 here at Busch Stadium, and there's no runs for the Cardinals, and Houston leads it 1-0. Important break down the game coming up on Fox Sports Midwest. Always having fun over there at the Aqua Bar as they take the post-game show just down the street.
Amazing. They can't get Ricky out of there.
And the first pitch to Hunter Pence. Cardinals facing Moeller tonight. Wandy Rodriguez 10-6, and then my understanding is that Roy Oswalt has been scratched for Sunday.
It just seems like it would make the most sense, especially if you're a Cardinal fan.
Makes great.
Be very,
all the
very,
sense in the
very
world.
Conservative. And of course, Cecil Cooper they eventually had to put Berkman on the disabled list with that calf.
1-1 pitch. And that is a big time bat out of their lineup when you talk about Lance Berkman.
Yeah, well, you would think that they would suffer without him, but didn't need him in the series against the Cardinals in Houston.
Marlins in the bottom of the 5th leading Chicago 2-0. Rockies lead Cincinnati 3-1. That's in the bottom of the 4th. Pretty good hitter right there, Cecil Cooper.
A lot of people don't remember, but back in 1971, Cecil Cooper was a Rule 5 selection by the Cardinals.
That's right.
Went to spring training, and they sent him back. And really, it was they knew that Cecil was going to be an outstanding player, but had more of a veteran presence, and they kept a couple veteran left-handers like Tim McCarver.
If you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv. Catch over 100 live out-of-market games per week. For complete details, visit STLCardinals.com, where baseball is always on. Spoke to Tim McCarver today. Said he still was so excited about what St. Louis did. And of course, he grew up in Memphis, a Cardinals
Sure.
fan, and was at the All-Star game, obviously, broadcasting with Joe. And
I went up to you.
And he thought it was a wonderful presentation by St. Louis.
You spoke to McCarver. I spoke to Stan the Man.
And how's Stan the Man doing?
Stan was good. I was over at the office.
He's
Stan the
definitely
Man
one up
meet.
me.
Yep. Saw Stan. He told me Lil's doing well. Got to thank Stan Musial and Dick Sitzman from Stan the Man. Pat said she was mad at both of us the other day.
She must have been busy.
The phone was ringing off the hooks after we showed the picture of Stan with JFK.
Great photo.
And all kinds of orders.
That's upstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. I know a lot of people were frustrated with the ceremony concerning Stan the Man, and the people I've talked to, Al, once the president decided to throw out the first pitch, that really changed anything that could be done on the field. There might have been more done for Stan, but my understanding is when the president said he's coming, all bets were off on certain things that maybe would have happened if he was not here.
Well, I, for one, was disappointed that Major League Baseball, not the Cardinals, Major League Baseball didn't honor Stan more like they did in Boston with Ted Williams.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Pudge Rodriguez.
And of course, the Secret Service, and I got this firsthand, they don't even want the president to make, on the field, just from security reasons, but everything went extremely well, and we're thankful for that.
1-2 on Pudge Rodriguez. Bud Norris will start Sunday's game. His first big league start. Right-handed pitcher, 4-9 at Round Rock, their Class AAA affiliate, with a 2.63 ERA. He's 24 years old. Sometimes, that does not benefit the Cardinals, who are, very much relying heavily on video.
Yeah, it's funny to me because sometimes today's modern players don't trust their own eyes. They're so reliant on that video and the scouting report that they receive that they don't go up to the batter's box and just trust what their instincts are.
Well, here we are in the second inning, and Mitchell Boggs already 24 pitches and is yet to record an out here in the second, and that's been one of the concerns with Mitchell, is that in his starts at this level, he gives you only about 5 or 6 innings.
I think you take the 6 innings.
One of his better starts this year was against Washington, at Washington. 9-4 win, and he went 6 innings in that game.
And there's so much more energy that is used and pressure on these young players that if they're averaging 5 or 6 innings at the minor league level, they're going to throw less here and throw a lot more pitches.
And he got him. Strikeout of Pudge.
Pudge is in a little bit of a rut. He's 0 for his last 16, and so Boggs does what he can. Boggs can rack up some strikeouts. You keep the ball down there, he'll be fine.
Exmo Camp presented by Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill. That's right, it's 1 block south of the ballpark on Broadway. It's Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill. One out and a runner at first. And Chris Coast, the hitter, former backup catcher with the Phillies and now playing first base. With Berkman out, they really like what he's done defensively. This could be 2. Schumacher out at first, and now Pence is in a rundown. Pujols to Lugo.
Perfect execution.
Nice job by Schumacher to read that play properly. And the run support, a big part of that. Over 7 runs in those starts in support.
And you see the team has won all 8 of those starts. So not that the Cardinals haven't scored, but they've given up a lot of runs, and Muller's had the run support. He's had Holliday's number as well as Ludwig.
Matt Holliday was actually recruited out of Stillwater High School to play quarterback at Oklahoma State University. And that's a foul ball. And of course, Mitchell Boggs started out as a college quarterback. Mark DeRosa was a college quarterback. And Nick Stavanoa began his college career as a middle linebacker at the University of Houston.
Yeah, Stavanoa was sent down today to make room for Mitchell Boggs.
You mentioned last night you love guys with that football mentality, that football background.
I think it just mentally they're a little tougher.
Here's an 0-1 pitch.
Get a guy like Mike Hampton, you know, who started for the Astros. Little guy, but you know, he had that little football mentality, and he's been a tough pitcher over the years.
How about the job that Holliday has done now in the first week of the acquisition? Unbelievable.
I think he's done just fine, don't you?
Hitting .520 as a Cardinal. Left side, Blum knocks it down. Holliday hustling. He's in there. That's a base hit. Looked like it may have taken a little tricky hop at the end.
That came up, and you know, Jeff Blum has really been playing outstanding defense for the Astros. He's only committed 2 errors on the year. So right now, if he doesn't field the ball cleanly, there's you know, you got to sit there and say, you see, it comes up on him a little bit. You got mind more of the body than maybe the glove.
I know last night Ludwig would love one at bat back as he came up late in the game, runner at third, and only one out and struck out. Cardinals nearly had a sweep of the Dodgers. Really made a statement by taking 3 of 4. A high fly ball into shallow right center field. Michael Bourne under it. Makes the catch with 2 hands, and back to first, Holliday.
Before the season, or before the series started with the Dodgers, you would have said, if somebody would have said you're going to win 3 out of 4, you'd take that in a heartbeat. And after you win the first 3, you know, it's only natural to be very greedy and want the sweep.
We've seen the Phillies, we've seen the Dodgers. I would have to say, if you're ranking teams right now, in my mind, the Phillies, especially at home, going to be very, very tough to beat.
And remember, early in the season, that's where you were going to beat them, because they had a tremendous road record, but a sub 500. But with their play in July, they've really caught up and now have a winning record at home. So I think with their offense, they are the team to beat.
It's a changeup popped up into center. Of course, Antiel hit that long home run last night. Of course, they've added Cliff Lee, and it's primarily a left-handed starting rotation now for the Phillies,
which is quite rare these days.
Tim McCarver said that one of the things that he felt might hurt the Cardinals is not having a lefty in the starting rotation.
Well, they've really been that way for a long time.
Exactly.
Maybe next year, Jaime Garcia, who is now pitching again after having the Tommy John surgery, you know, maybe he can crack that starting rotation from the left side. But
runner goes from first. That's Holliday. Throw to second, and he is out. Bud Rodriguez still can get it done, and Holliday is caught stealing. listings for the game and start time in your area.
The unusual trade today for the White Sox, and you alluded to it earlier, with Jake Peavy going to the White Sox for 4 prospects, trading for an injured player.
Peavy, of course, as you're talking about, is on the DL. They hope to get him back at some point before the season ends, but White Sox, when healthy, have a really competitive starting rotation.
And I think they feel like Peavy will be back for all of September, and I would hope. I'm a Sox fan.
There's a swing and a miss, and Mulder strikes out. Boggs is struck out 2. Cardinals Alumni Kids Clinics are coming to Chesterfield on August 4th and 6th. Boys and girls ages 7 to 13 can learn baseball fundamentals from former Cardinal greats like Ricky Horton, John Mabry, Kerry Robinson, and more. For more information, call 345-9891 or visit stocardinals.com. Victor Martinez, another big deal too, as he went to the Red Sox. This is lined into left center field. That ball will get down. Michael Bourne can fly. He's on his way to second base. And now, after the misplay at center, then it was dropped. He'll wind up at third with 1 out.
That was double and then an error on Ankiel, but that could have gone to Holiday. And also, Rick comes over here, tries to cut it off. It gets by him. Holiday comes over. He tries to pick it up and drops it. And really, it's more the drop by Holiday that allows Bourne, or makes his decision to go to third, more so than the misplay by Ankiel.
So a double E8 on the play, and here's Matsui. DeRosa has to play in, so he's even with the bag. Pujols is in as well. Matsui sacrificed his first time up. But Victor Martinez goes to the Red Sox for 3 pitchers. Scott Rowland goes to the Reds. Edwin Encarnacion, and a minor leaguer, part of that deal. Remember, Encarnacion was supposed to be the third baseman of the future.
Yeah, you better hope that they, well, I mean, if they don't agree, or Scott doesn't agree to that, they lose Encarnacion. They already traded Harrison Jr. to additional third baseman to the Yankees.
Here's a 2-0 pitch to Matsui. And my understanding now is that he has waived that no trade clause and is headed to Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I think that we just thought that was a formality.
And he told me that when he was growing up in Indiana, that the only games that they would go see would be occasionally in Chicago at Wrigley Field, and they'd go watch the White Sox, but primarily it was at Busch Stadium in St. Louis and then in Cincinnati. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out, runner at third. Orlando Cabrera goes to the Twins.
Nick Johnson goes to the Marlins.
We saw Casey Kochman, part of the Teixeira deal a couple years ago. He's traded again. He winds up with the Red Sox, and the Braves get Adam LaRoche again. 3-2 here on Matsui. Infield charging in with the exception of Schumacher, and that's another walk. So the second walk issued by Boggs tonight. Asking for trouble brings in Tejada. First pitch strikes, 9 of 11, which is good, but yet you've seen a lot of base runners. And that was his main concern when he was here previous.
Right. Walks a lot of guys, throws a lot of pitches.
And this could be 2. Lugo steps on the bag, settles and throws. Nice scoop by Albert. The second double play turned by the Cardinals. Mark DeRosa leads it off when we come back. Good pick here by Albert Pujols.
Akita mix. I always told you I always wanted to have an Akita. They were bred a Japanese hunting dog specializing in bear hunting. But really, it sounds like a ferocious dog, but they're unbelievably good house pets and great with kids.
Oh, it sounds wonderful.
I know, but they really are.
They help you hunt bears, but just wonderful with children.
And then then I'm going to get you a Vizsla. It's a Hungarian hunting dog.
Al, again, this is where I have to reel you back in. Okay, focus. DeRosa, foul territory, but dropped by Hunter Pence.
Boy, that two hands, that doesn't happen, does it?
Foul territory, and DeRosa has a new life.
I think in my mind, it should be an error. It's over there, goes to the glove, not using two hands, and it pops out.
And it is. It's a E9 on the play. Hot Shots Exmo Cam, presented by Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill. Rich Harden went 5 innings at Florida tonight, struck out 11, and now Graybo making his Cubs debut. Marlins up 2-0. That's in the bottom of the 6th. Mention how Mark DeRosa gives Tony La Russa all kinds of flexibility in where you can hit him in this lineup. Seen him hit in front of Albert Pujols, second. And there's a swing and a miss and a strikeout. And tonight we see him 7th. And look at what he's done in that 7th spot this season, hitting .394. You'd figure that that 2nd spot will change, hitting in front of Pujols. It's only at .233, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I think right now that's kind of skewed a little bit as he's in a little funk. He's over for his last 7, and he was only 3 for 20 in the Dodger series. But we know he's a much better hitter than that, and maybe that comfort zone is the 7th spot.
Just joining us, Matt Holliday, with the only Cardinal base hit back in the 2nd inning, and now he is the first player with a hit in his first 8 games as a Cardinal since Roger Maris did it back in the late 60s.
Well, he just passed up Bo Hart. Bo did it the first 7 games of his Cardinal history. Let's hope Holliday's around a little longer than Bo Hart, too.
0-2 the count on Jason LaRue.
Still every now and then we'll have somebody ask us about Bo.
Bo Hart, Stubby Clapp, John Rodriguez. We gave you the update on J-Rod last night. He's now with the Yankees, the AAA affiliate.
Jason LaRue making his 16th start after Yachty just Iron Man back behind the plate. He's caught more innings than any National League receiver. But Jason's done a nice job. He's hit over 280 in his starting assignments. He and DeRosa are the only 2 position players over the age of 30.
And an 0-2 pitch to the Cardinal catcher tonight. A lot of innings that have piled up the last few nights for Yadier Molina. Some long games.
And a 15-inning affair, and then last night it went 10.
3.5-hour game last night.
He caught every single pitch last couple nights, and of course
1-2 pitch. Popped up. Blum is there to make the catch. There's Yadier Molina, gracing the cover of ESPN the magazine this week. Talking about him being arguably the best defensive catcher in baseball, and rightfully so.
Won his first Gold Glove last year, and I think in our minds he should have about 3 or 4.
Sometimes we have opposing teams that will come in and ask us about Molina, and they say, well, look at these numbers, he's not tested all that much. You say that's exactly the point.
That's the point. I mean,
people are not running against Molina.
When you look at it, the catcher with the second fewest attempts against will have twice as many opportunities than what Yachty has, as he just totally shuts down the running game. And many times the successful ones are flat out where he has no chance because they're stealing off the pitcher.
And an 0-1 pitch to Boggs. Hit to the right side. Matsui there. Moeller covering the bag at first. And just gets the bag. One of the best, Yadier Molina. We play 3, and it's 1-0. Out and replace it. August 2nd is the Build-A-Bear Workshop Day here at Busch Stadium. That is this Sunday. 12,000 kids ages 12 and under with a paid admission get a limited edition Cardinals pup. Number to call for tickets. Still tickets available. 345-9500 or visit us online at stlcardinals.com. You can make a whole day of it here at the ballpark. Is on the Ford Plaza. They got the ice cream sundae. And it's a family Sunday, terrace or pavilion reserved seat, and you get a free hot dog and soda. After the game, you can run the bases. Make sure you get here early, as those Build-A-Bears go awfully quickly. Out to right center field, it's well hit. And Keel won't get to it, and it's off the wall. Ludwig, good job to back it up, and a leadoff double by Carlos Lee.
Flirting with danger, keep on allowing the first runner, or the first hitter of an inning, to get on base. 3 of the 4 times they've been in scoring position, all 4 innings they've been on base.
Happy anniversary to Steve and Jody Kern, watching tonight on Fox Sports Midwest. Here's Jeff Blum. 1-0 Houston. RBI single by Tejada back in the first. And Brian Moeller, for whatever reason, just has the Cardinals number. He has thrown 3 innings of baseball and thrown 3 balls. That's it.
Talking about going out with confidence.
Oof. 1-0 pitch. One of the things that Dave Duncan, previous times that Boggs has been up, they've really tried to improve his breaking ball, and some nights he's gone out there and it's been very good. Tonight looks to be a little flat.
Yeah, basically you got a sinker slider type pitcher, and you know it's good enough if you got them both working. But if you have a flat slider, it becomes very hittable, and you don't have command of it.
Houston is stranded too, and without the help of the defense for the Cardinals tonight, it could be a lot worse than just 1-0. We're in the 4th, and here comes a 3-0 pitch to Blum. Catches the outside corner. Hunter Pence on deck. Talk to the Cardinals players, and they'll tell you that this lineup that Houston has, very, very good. The big question mark for us, as we've talked about it, Al, do they have enough pitching?
And that is a real legitimate question. Pulled the string there. Good change up.
Russ Ortiz was let go yesterday after they got pounded by Chicago.
You know, if Oswald's out for any length of time, that's going to be a real problem for Cecil Cooper. He and Wandy Rodriguez were on quite a roll, you know, about the last 7 or 8 starts.
3-2 pitch from Boggs. Looked to be a changeup. Lifted to right field. Ludwig there. Draws a throw from Lee. One hop right to DeRosa. Good throw by Ryan Ludwig. Celebration of a Cardinals All-Star Summer. Coca-Cola recognizes past and present Cardinals All-Stars who have participated in the Midsummer Classic on a collectible 3x5 banner for 25,000 fans ages 16 and older. On Friday, August 14th, San Diego will be in town, and the banner features Medwick, Simmons, Pujols, Stan the Man, Ozzie, Suter, Gibson. Brought to you by Walmart and Coke Zero. Hunter Pence. One out and a runner at second base.
Breaking ball there that he throws. As Pence at times, you know, he was an all-star. He was selected by the players this season, but at times he can look very awkward in the batter's box.
He's got some jump. He brings energy to this team. Plays a pretty good right field despite the air that we saw earlier.
He's hit in 7 straight games, right under the 300 clip.
Boggs is set, gets his sign, and here comes a 1-1 pitch.
Threw the ball by him upstairs. Carpenter really just had that nasty curveball that he just made him look sick on. And we'll see Carpenter tomorrow. Good pitching matchup with Wandy Rodriguez.
Good play by LaRue. Saw that throw by Ludwig. Boy, he had a couple of nice throws from right field against the Dodgers. In particular, the one to catch Manny Ramirez at the plate.
What I liked on that throw there is he caught the ball and just assumed that the runner is going to tag up. And if you do that, you know, you get yourself in a good throwing position. You're usually going to have a strong, accurate throw. It's when you're caught flat-footed is when you usually throw the ball and it'll sail on you.
It's 51 pitches.
Now watch him catch the ball, but he's thinking, okay, he's going to tag up, get some momentum. Gets those little stutter steps to get a little momentum coming in and get in a good throwing position and then execute the throw.
Check swing and did not go. Third walk issued by Mitchell Boggs. But along the way, double plays have helped here tonight. And the first one was started in the second inning by Skip Schumacher. Well done here.
Yeah, really for perfection. Albert runs it down. Now there's the gap and everything. You really don't want to have all those unnecessary throws. And here Lugo gets it, steps on the bag and throws low, and Albert with a great scoop.
That saved a run, that scoop.
You know, the difference between AAA and the major leagues is like that last 3-2 pitch. You throw a slider out there, AAA guys are going to offer at it. But at the big league level, you know, they pretty much know that there's a possibility you're going to get a breaking ball, but if it's off the plate, they don't swing. Unless you're Pudge Rodriguez. But it wasn't 3-2.
First and second. He was called out on strikes his first time up.
Like I said, he's in a little bit of a rut right now. He's 0 for his last 16. Caught more games than any other player in Major League history.
1 ball, 1 strike. So many of those games, he spent the majority of his career in Texas. You think about the summer heat there and the summer heat down in Florida. Spent a season down with the Marlins.
Well, Texas is so hot they play Sunday night games. Don't play the day game because it's just too exhausting.
1-2 the count.
Pudge leads all active players with 538 career doubles, 4th in career hits. He's pushing 2,700.
And you talk to the Houston folks, they say he's a workout fanatic. He'll play the game tonight. And at the hotel that the team is staying at, he'll be at the gym working out. I mean, that's how they say he feels that he keeps himself in such tremendous condition.
And it was a no-brainer for them to pick him up this season, the Astros, and they got him during the World Baseball Classic. But he wants to play a couple more years, and I'm sure with that 3,000 hits in mind. May not happen in Houston, but somebody will probably use him.
Here's Coast. Had a big hit against the Cardinals that come from behind victory in the 9th inning against St. Louis.
So in 6 of his last 7 games, just under 300. And as you said, playing a pretty good first base. You know, Blum started the last 2 games at first base.
1-0 pitch to Coast. I don't know how much time you've spent with Chris Coast, and I've had a couple of extended conversations with him. He really is one of the guys that you pull for. All those years, independent baseball in the minor leagues, and then finally in his mid-30s making it to the big leagues, and then all of a sudden he's got a championship ring with the Phillies.
Yeah, what, 36 years of age and just parts of 4 seasons, and that's just been the last 4 seasons. So he was about a 32-year-old rookie.
And he told me that, and he's written a couple of books, by the way, one about his experiences in the minor leagues, and then all of a sudden he made it to the major leagues.
Had to write a new one.
Had to write a new one. Then all of a sudden he won a World Series, so he added to it. But he said to me that when his playing days are over, and you'd love to hear this, he said they're going to have to rip my jersey off me. That's what you always talk about. But he wants to get into coaching and then eventually be a manager. He asked some of the Houston players, and they say he's a wealth of knowledge in that dugout going through situations, having been a catcher for so many years.
Yeah, and he's experienced it all, good, bad. You know, the problem was that my managers did rip it off me.
I'm sure he'll graciously hand it over. The 3-1 pitch. And a walk to Coast to bring up Moeller. That one just seemed to be him pitching around him and bringing up Moeller. 2 walks in the inning, 4 in the game.
Well, maybe he knew that Moeller is 0 for 25, but we kind of look at Tony La Russa right there.
Nope.
That's not what he wanted.
Nope, you're right.
I don't think Boggs has the luxury of doing things like that, pitching around the guy.
And Moeller fouls it off his foot. Strike 1.
And the mindset is you want to retire that 8th place hitter, and then you got a leg up. You got a third of the way the next inning, getting out the non-hitting pitcher. We all know there's a flare and a quail that can be produced.
Time called. Cubs pick up a 2-run homer. It's now 2-2 in the top of the 7th. Carpenter goes against Wandy Rodriguez tomorrow. That's way outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's a big crowd, even a little bit. You can hear them. They're restless with these walks. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody at the ballpark. Teammates, the fans. They want to see guys that are aggressive.
That's it, and especially from young guys.
This is a great chance for Boggs, with the uncertainty of that 5th spot in the rotation, to make an impression again.
Right, and bears again that you know, with the off days coming up, that you don't need that 5th spot until what, August 11th?
Believe so. Cardinals have 2 off days next week, Monday and then again on Thursday. It's a 2-day series with the Mets and then 3 with Pittsburgh. It was Jake Fox with that home run for the Cubs. There's your little flare, but that will carry to Ankiel. He'll back up, makes the catch. Houston strands, the bases loaded. Top of the lineup coming up for St. Louis. customized features and new ways to play. Log on to foxsports.com on MSN and join the next generation of fantasy football. Skip Schumacher leads it off against Moeller. First 3 innings, he has been terrific. Home for the Holidays. And Holiday, the only base hit for the Cardinals here tonight. Schumacher grounded out sharply his first time up to second base. Then we'll see Julio Lugo and Albert Pujols return from the road trip, and we'll see Scott Rowland back in St. Louis. And we talked so much about the reception of Jim Edmonds when he came back with the Cubs. Cincinnati a little different, but
yeah.
You know, it's still, you know, he was a very popular figure here in town. Scott Rowland, both of them were.
And when you're traded away, it's not like you you left the ball club on your choice.
And Schumacher again out in front, grounds it to second. And so Moeller is rolling along. And how about over the other side, the radio booth?
Nobody there, are there?
One out and nobody on, and here is Lugo. Happy anniversary to Donna Lemke and her husband Jim. 28th anniversary, and they're watching Cardinals baseball tonight. Donna been with the St. Louis Blues for a number of years. Wonderful person, and happy anniversary. 1 ball, 1 strike on Lugo, who was grounded out too short. Look at that pitch count difference. Moeller at 27, Boggs at 65.
27, 23 of them are strikes.
Talking with Lugo, you know, he feels shortstop is probably the place that he feels most comfortable. He can play second base and even play a little bit of the outfield. And he is under contract next season, in which the Boston Red Sox will pay the entire portion of that deal. 1-2 pitch. Right center, base hit. Bourne with his speed over to get it, but that's going to go to the wall. Lugo on his way to second. On his way to third. The relay hits him in the back, and so Lugo is safe at third.
Dan, I don't know about you, but in my mind, that is a break.
Oh,
because he was going to be out.
Watching him run around second looked uncomfortable.
He was tippy-toeing around second base, trying to find his right footing. He runs well, but he was not going to get a triple out of this. There you see a little skip there, trying to get his foot. Here's where he's taking the choppy steps around second as he's watching the play. And with the ball does not hit him in the back, they throw him out. Look at Blum just waiting for it, and hit him right there in the heel. His shoe, and that's what saved him. So the Cardinals with a great shot with Albert Pujols. They won't let him hit it. But Cecil Cooper knows that he's had success against Mulder, and Holiday has not. And
you give Lugo some credit. It looked like he even adjusted to where Blum was getting set to catch it and kind of extended himself out.
Yeah, you know, he might be thinking or seeing, you know, a lot of times that third base will try and deke him, but he might have read his body language, thinking which way is he leaning for the throw, anticipating where that throw is going to come. A new franchise record as Cecil Cooper gives Albert his 36th intentional walk this year. Last night he got 35. That set a new record.
Let's go back to Julio Lugo, tiptoeing around second base and then sliding in to third base.
Now, you see him, he got the play in front of him, so he's looking out there. Now he's got to readjust to step on second. Now he's trying to turn on the afterburners, and it did hit him in the back. But here's what you're talking about. Usually that third baseman kind of stands there still trying to deke him. But does he lean one way or the other? Yeah, he started going to the outfield side.
Yes, he did.
And so he was going to the infield, but the throw followed him.
Joe Torre last night walked Pujols and then walked Holiday to load him up.
Well, Holiday, I mentioned, got the infield single here tonight off of Moeller, but he was 1 for 6 prior to that. So I think Cooper, he can still do that option if he falls behind the count, but Moeller's throwing strikes. I'll bet on Holiday at the very least he gets a sac fly.
0-1 pitch. Take it inside. This crowd now energized with the trades the Cardinals have made. The way this team has been playing, the crowd's coming out in tremendous numbers. Talking with the folks at the ticket office today, said it's been unbelievable the response that they've had this week in tickets sold with the addition of Holiday. Base hit in the left. He made him pay. Lugo scores. Cardinals get on the board, and it's 1-1.
Lugo has been a great addition. You know, Albert is Albert, but Holiday kind of just adds a little extra dimension. Tried to get in on him, and his ball's down, but right in the middle of the plate, he just pulls it through the hole. Every time he hits a ball, he usually hits it extremely hard, and when you do that, a lot of those balls will go through.
Now Ludwig, who is flied to center. I asked the folks in the ticket office, how does this trade compare to when McGuire came to the Cardinals in '97? They said they've sold, percentage-wise, more tickets with this deal than they did even with McGuire, which would surprise, I think, some folks.
It does and it doesn't, because remember, McGuire kind of revived the whole Cardinal nation, and people started coming through the turnstiles after Big Mac did his thing. And he comes from the American League. Everybody knows about Holiday from his days with Colorado. So I think now everybody is energized and knows about Cardinal baseball and the great family experience. So I can see this one being bigger.
Holiday 2 for 2, 2 singles, hitting well above 500 since the trade, which he made his debut last Friday against the Phillies. Pujols, the runner at second base. Holiday, the runner at first, and time is called. Ludwig fly to center field his first time up. We've talked so much about Holiday giving Pujols protection. Let's give Ludwig a lot of credit here too, because he did a nice job when Pujols was walked, intentional or not. His numbers are terrific.
No doubt about that. Remember when showed a graphic a couple days ago, and it always bears mentioning when see what he is with runners in scoring position, but when somebody walks ahead of him, sitting over 400, makes that other team pay, that it's just that much deeper into your lineup. And then after Ludwig, you got Ankiel, then you got DeRosa, just a lot deeper.
2-1 hit out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Remember talking to Ryan Ludwig at the end of the '07 season when he finally got his break after all the injuries and even contemplating playing over in Japan to get maybe one last contract. He said, I finally knew I deserved and could make it at this level and be an everyday player. So that part of it was out of his mind. He said, now physically I just needed to get in the best shape I could get into, and if I got a chance I could put up the numbers, and he has done so. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tough pitch to take on the outside corner. And he has had some really radical surgeries as far as on his wrist. He's had a surgery on his hip. But here he is putting up big numbers.
And just enjoying the life of a big leaguer and not taking anything for granted.
3-2 pitch. To be a changeup that time. Bourne is fairly shallow in center field for a guy like Ludwig, who has 17 home runs and 66 RBIs.
He's got that great speed, and he doesn't have Tal's Hill to go up the incline.
3-2 the count on Ludwig. 2 runners on, 1-1 game here in the 4th. Out to visit Pudge Rodriguez.
How many center fielders now like to play on top of the arch?
To me, I like the way that the field looks. It gives it more of a St. Louis feel, obviously, with the arch that's cut into the grass, the design of the arch that was done during the All-Star game.
I thought the old courthouse that was in the back of second base was a real classic design. But there's the arch still in the cut in the grass, and you can see Bourne playing on top of it.
Yes, he is. 3-2 the count on Ludwig. Runners at first and second. 1-1 game here in the bottom of the fourth. Ludwig lines it to Coast, and
no, it's not.
So it's not a catch.
Not a catch.
And out at second as Tejada was there. Pujols advances to third, and Holiday out at second base. Ludwig safe at first, and Coast took a hit in an RBI way.
Boy, what a tough running play for Holiday. He has no chance on that one, as it really did look like it was a line drive out. I don't know how the first base umpire could see that, but he called it cleanly. Look at, you got to guard against a line drive double play. Holiday has no chance, but they only get one out.
So runners at first and third. Here's Ricky Ankiel. Ankiel flied out to center field first time up.
He's 3 for 10 with a home run against Moeller.
You and I were talking before the game about his batting practice today. He was launching the baseball, some of the long home runs.
And right behind the cage were Tony La Russa and Red Shandies. They were all talking, conferring afterwards, trying to help out a little bit, but it was probably the most impressive batting practice we've seen in a long time from him.
Ludwig,
long home run last night.
Ludwig at first and a swing and a miss. Pujols over third, but they don't throw changeups in BP.
No, they throw BP fastballs.
Pretty good pitch that time by Moeller. Here's the redhead, Red Shandies, the Hall of Famer, dresses out before every game, and wonderful to see the opposing team, their coaches, some of the players come over to shake hands. Ludwig will take second base. No throw for Pudge. So steal.
His fourth in 4 attempts. I've got a Red Shandy's autograph bat, as well as a Stan Musial autograph bat for tomorrow. My fundraiser for Little Patriots. Help out the families of our deployed military.
Talk about that in the top of the fifth. Great event coming up as Ankiel hits it slowly towards first. Moeller to the bag and got him. 2 newcomers helping out to tie this game up for St. Louis. It starts with a 1-out triple from Julio Lugo. Holiday then brought him in. 1-1 after 4. Also homers twice in that game, and just a sign of things to come from the great switch hitter Lance Berkman. Of course, Andy Ashby gave up home run number 500 here in St. Louis to Mark McGwire. Top of the lineup now, and it's Michael Bourne. Brand new game as we're tied up 1-1. On the outside corner and a strike. Bourne tonight has doubled and scored, and also doubled back in the third.
At great speed, and keep him to a single. He'll turn it into a double with his legs.
You can see what Bourne, first at bats, what he was trying to do. Hit it on the ground, hit it to the left side. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Bourne. Boggs has struck out 3, but he has walked 4 tonight. There's the breaking ball. And Bourne a swing and a miss, and frustrated. How about this weather in St. Louis on the 31st of July? It is absolutely gorgeous tonight. It's supposed to be gorgeous all weekend long, and there are seats available tomorrow night. I want to remind folks that initially that was a Fox Saturday baseball game, an afternoon start. That has been changed. So if you have a ticket for the ball game tomorrow night, remember it begins at 6:15. First pitch at 6:15 tomorrow night. Here's Kaz Matsui with 1 out.
That's why we've got a chance to have you come over to the ballpark saloon before and after the game for that great cause. Help our military families that have their loved ones deployed. Got about 12 ex-Cardinals, some of your favorites, that'll be signing autographs from 4:30 to 5:30. For a $30 donation, you can get the Hungos. The Hungos will be signed and have them available.
And you've got a Musial bat, Musial signed all-star ball. And you talked about Red Shandy signing a bat, so that goes to a great cause. The Little Patriots Embrace is what they're calling it, and this helps the families of our deployed military. Wonderful, wonderful cause. That's a base hit into right. Matsui aboard for the second time. Brings in Tejada. You see with Berkman, when healthy, you look at this lineup: Tejada, Lee, Berkman, Pence, Pudge Rodriguez. Pretty good.
I mean, you can talk about as good as the Cardinal lineup is, and as good. I think the Astros, when healthy, may have a little more depth. I think Philadelphia has more depth than the Cardinals, but I like the Cardinals pitching better. So there's the equalizer.
Chance here for LaRue. Throw to second. Matsui goes off of him, and he's on his way to third base. Remember, it's LaRue behind the plate tonight.
And that's why I said, you put him on first base, he'll get himself in scoring position. Matsui with it, Bourne has 37 steals. Matsui has 11.
So stolen base, E2 on the play. Tejada could put Houston back on top. It's 1-1. Swing and a miss, and that breaking ball is getting a little bit better.
Yeah, a little bit better to where now guys are chasing it out of the strike zone.
Well, Mitchell Boggs, one of 3 current Cardinals who claim the state of Georgia as their home. Adam Wainwright from Peach State still makes his residence there. Mark DeRosa, also from Georgia, or at least living there after he was drafted by the Braves from up east. Spent the first 9 years of his career with the Atlanta organization, did Mark DeRosa. And of course, there is Adam Wainwright.
It has become a hotbed for baseball players. I think you can trace it back to all the success the Braves had in the 90s.
Oh yeah, definitely. 2-1 is grounded to Schumacher. Thought about coming home, and it's 2-1 as a run scores. And Schumacher, if you're wondering, he was playing back, so Tejada gets the RBI, and Miguel Tejada has driven in 2, now with 62 RBIs. This run comes around with the stolen base and the error from LaRue.
Second error of the night for the Cardinals. And you got a second baseman running over to cover. It's kind of hard to kind of reverse direction and just forget about trying to make a tag. Just knock that ball down. And Matsui actually kicked it, and Lugo was backing up the play, and he kicked it towards left field.
There's Carlos Lee, who's flying to left and also doubled. A 2-0 pitch. Fastball. And does not get the call. 3-0. To be a pretty good pitch. At the top of the 8th, it's 2-2, the Cubs and Marlins. Same pitch, and that one's a strike. We saw Carlos Lee in a pregame.
He was working hard.
Everybody else running and stretching, and Carlos, a little pregame snack with his yogurt. Are you surprised that Tony La Russa had Schumacher playing back on that?
No. With one out and, speed of Matsui over at third base, I think you almost got to assume that run's going to come in.
Here's DeRosa. Foul territory, long throw, and not in time.
Nice play by DeRosa, but it took him a long time to get his under control to where he could stop and throw.
And Lee picks up his second hit.
Maybe it's because his eating habits are much improved. Everybody running, stretching, jogging, but he's having a nutritious yogurt. At least he got out on time. He brought the yogurt with him.
So he's got his second hit, a double, and now a single. That comes with 2 outs, and it's Jeff Blum. Blum has popped out to first to Pujols and also flied out to right. Pitch count at 85 for Boggs, and he is due up third for the Cardinals. Once again, you're probably looking at 6 innings from Mitchell Boggs. And the 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Oh, he's getting his money's worth.
Well, he already ate the spoon. He's still doing his stretching.
Here's the 0-2. Doesn't chase. Good block by LaRue to keep it in front. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Reds have come back in their game. They've tied it up 3-3 with the Rockies.
Dave Clark, pretty good band over there at third base.
Here's a 1-2. Ooh, he hit him. So Boggs, who has walked forward, now hits a man.
Set up inside, the ball just runs inside and just gets him really on the jersey.
So first and second, it puts Lee in scoring position, and it's Hunter Pence. Twice he has walked. They start to stir now in that Cardinal bullpen. You would figure that he's got a short leash tonight with Mitchell Boggs. 2 outs and 2 on.
Thompson did pitch in last night's game, and you wonder, so did Wellemeyer. And would one day's rest be enough for Hawksworth after his 3 outstanding?
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Pence. Two balls and no strikes. Pence has walked twice tonight. Boggs needs to throw strikes. The 2-0. don't throw strikes, those borderline pitches, you're not going to get the call. 3-0.
I learned that way back in A-ball. And, you know, when used to be in A-ball, you had 2 umpires, and you had no coaches. Tony saying he's going to be swinging on the 3-0 pitch. Be alert, telling his defense. And it used to be, you know, you'd have a minor league manager, and he had no coaching staff. So if you were the starting pitcher today, the home plate umpire tomorrow was at first base, and so were you coaching first base. And I had a umpire tell me, he said, I really like working the plate with you because you throw strikes. So I thought about that, and the next time I had him back behind the plate, I threw strikes, and then I started widening the plate. And because he thought I threw strikes, his strike zone widened out with me. But like you said, if you're wild, you don't get the borderline pitches. If you establish in the umpire's mind that you can throw strikes, the Braves were the best at that. Lavin and Maddox.
A 3-2 pitch.
There's a prime example right there.
The pitch before, identical, called a strike. That one called a ball. They stayed away, though, from Hunter Pence. That's now 5 walks issued by Boggs.
So LaRue tried to just jerk at the last second like he's peeking, or just try to sense that they're trying to go in as their pitch wanted it away.
So of the 5 walks, 3 have gone to Hunter Pence, and here is Rodriguez. It's only a matter of time with him. Twice he has struck out. 0 for 2 on the night. And that's a ball. A pitch count now is at 95, and Boggs is due up third. You might only get 5 innings from him. So apparently you had, every once in a while,
I said that was an A-ball.
Good relationships with the umpires.
Of course, that umpire never got to the big leagues either.
2-0 the count. They're out to settle him down. So that was an A-ball. This in the major leagues. What is going on here, Al?
Bob Engel threw a ball at me. So watch this. Had no facial hair, so I wasn't happy. I told Jerry Royster, don't pick it up. Don't pick it up. Picked it up, gives it to me, so watch what I do. Yeah, rubbed it on the mound and threw it in. Scratched it all up.
Did you ever talk to him about that? That, you know, what took place there?
Well, that was only the part of it. There was.
Well, it went back and forth. I've seen the video.
Yeah, but I mean, well, I talked to him afterwards to say, you know, hey, I just didn't like the balls. They were too big, and after that, it went on, you know, This Week in Baseball, and he was all happy because he got a lot of notoriety from it. So he was cool with me.
2-2. Boggs needs to get out of this jam right here.
I was at the end of my career mopping up for a game in Dodger Stadium, but they used to play that in Dodger Stadium, some of their video clips with dueling banjos. It made it kind of classic.
Brown into it now. 2-2 the count on the punt Rodriguez. Time called. Bases loaded. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Houston has regained the lead. It's 2-1. Swing and a miss. Third time that Pudge Rodriguez has struck out. They strand the bases loaded again. as Houston already in 5 innings, they've stranded 8 runners, but yet they only have a 1-run lead.
And I think it's 99 pitches for Boggs, so he probably is through. Thompson is warming up, so the inning of work last night wasn't enough to deter him, so you'd have to assume, and they don't necessarily have to pinch hit third batter here, but you would think they would with a young arm.
And if he's getting loose, that's pretty much the indication. It's off the end of the bat and a foul ball. 0-2 on DeRosa. Boggs just shaking his head in there as he strikes out 5 tonight, but the walks. He walks 5 and hits a man. 0-2 on DeRosa, struck out his first time up. DeRosa, LaRue, and then a pinch hitter. Staying outside again.
Dan, we always talk about after you score, you've got to shut down the other team. Now, Cardinals, when you look at the recent series in Houston, they had a lot of trouble doing so. When the Cardinals score, they turn around and Astros would answer.
Here's the 0-2.
Last inning, the Cardinals got their run in the 4th inning, and immediately Boggs helps them get a run in the 5th. Look at his outing in many ways. I mean, you can see there's a lot of things that you like about it, but those 5 walks and a hit batter just isn't good enough at this level.
I think he made a really valid point that some of those pitches that at the minor league level guys swing at, it just doesn't happen at this level. It's a totally different level. Rosa pulls it foul. 1-2 the count on the Cardinal third baseman. Milwaukee and San Diego tonight. Reds now trailing 4-3 against the Rockies. Cubs still tied 2-2, bottom of the 8th. And now I look, and Florida has taken a 3-2 lead in the bottom of the 8th. That's good news. How about Florida making a deal?
Yeah, Florida got Nick Johnson for a left-hander.
Two pitch. Off the end of the bat, Moeller was just staying away the entire time, for the most part, on DeRosa.
Florida's 7 games out, 2 games over 500. That's a tough division for a team that doesn't have a lot of money.
A lot of people say that Texas arguably may have the best farm system, and some people even thought that Roy Halladay would wind up with the Rangers. As Wainwright has now grabbed a bat, he'll be a pinch hitter. And again, give Florida credit. Now, you just go by what you hear and what you read with these prospects. You just don't know, as you well know, Al. But a lot of people believe that Florida in the National League may have the best minor league system once again. It's unbelievable.
Well, they're very smart when they do their fire sales or they get rid of veterans. They have a great scouting system that explores.
Into center field, Bourne coming on. He won't get it.
For the Trading Partners farm system, he usually gets some real gems.
Base hit for LaRue. Brings in Wainwright. He'll pinch hit for Boggs. What's on tap? Brought to you by Bud Light. The difference is drinkability. Astros and Cardinals tomorrow at 5:30. Again, the start time of the game, if you have a ticket, is at 6:15. Chris Carpenter, Wandy Rodriguez in game 2 of this 3-game set. Carpenter going tomorrow night.
Now, both of these guys would be candidates for the pitcher of the month. But as good as Carpenter's been throwing, you'd have to say Rodriguez is a little better with an ERA of 0.75, and I think it's a 4-0 record in July.
Wainwright showing bunt, pulls back, and let's see what they want to do. Well, certainly we've seen with Tony La Russa before. He'll have that pitcher come in there, everybody anticipating the bunt, then he'll pull back and let the better hitters that are pitchers swing away. And he's got 5 sacrifices this year.
I believe this is the 5th time that Tony has used Wainwright as a pinch hitter.
On the bench tonight, you have Molina, Ryan, Thurston, and Rasmus, but short bench because of what took place with Brendan Ryan last night.
Right. You'd have to assume that he's not available.
And an 0-1 pitch, taken a little bit low.
Brendan fouled the ball off his ankle and swelled up very quickly and left the ballpark actually with a boot and on crutches.
Check on LaRue over at first. 1 ball, 1 strike here on Adam Wainwright.
The order from the bench, or in this case, you know, a veteran pitcher throws over like that just to let everyone have a read, see the intentions of Wainwright.
Wainwright 12-6, and he will throw on Sunday. That was to be the game that Oswald was supposed to start. Here's the 1-1. Adam slices one foul and out of play. Another huge crowd here tonight. And LaRue was running on the pitch. Little hit and run there with Wainwright and LaRue. Just amazing what the Cardinals have been able to do to try to make the games affordable and putting a very good product on the field.
Well, that's it, Dan. You know, I mean, this tough economy, you know, everybody's discretionary funds are a little bit lighter, but you get a quality product. You come into a family atmosphere, family price nights, and right now they like what they've seen. Tom Mozeliak, ownership have given the horses now for Tony, and these players are accepting the challenge.
1-2 the count. Wainwright bunts it foul. So strikeout for Moeller, his second on the night. Kids tickets this year, any game starts at just $7, and we come back to Busch Stadium after the road trip. That first game back is a half price night, so you can come to the ballpark with a family of 4 for $30. We're expecting very, very big crowds, and that will be the return of Scott Rowland on that Monday night.
It'll be great, and you know, fans can do, you know, voice their opinion anyway, but I would think that he would be received very well.
I think so too, but I'm sure we'll hear more about it as we get closer and read more about it. Some of the thoughts of Tony La Russa and Scott Rowland as we edge closer to that first game of the series.
I mean, somebody might be trying to stir it up.
It's happened before. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Schumacher shoots it foul. Skip tonight is grounded out to second twice. I always found Rowland to be an engaging guy. Defensively, best third baseman I've ever seen for the generation of third basemen that I've watched growing up and now broadcasting the games. Mike Schmidt has said he's the best ever. Brooks Robinson even has said that he's among the best, if not the best. You saw Brooks, you saw Scott, you saw Mike Schmidt.
Well, Kenny Reeds was far superior to Mike Schmidt. As Kenny Reed says, every time he sees Mike Schmidt, he says, how do my gold gloves look on your mantle?
That's right.
The best one was, I asked Boop Powell one time. Fregosi and I were talking because Fregosi's played a long time in the American League, and he just raved about Brooks Robinson. And then when he managed Philadelphia, everybody talked about Schmidt being such a great third baseman, and I'll tell you that answer later.
Schumacher strikes out looking. Third strikeout for Moeller tonight. 2-1 after 5. them by the Casino Queen Hotel and Casino, home of the losers slots. Brad Thompson into the ball game for St. Louis, and our Chevrolet call to the bullpen. Mitchell Boggs tonight strikes out 5, but walks 5, hits a man, and gives up a couple of runs. And Thompson into the ball game to take over here in the 6th inning. He will face Coast, Moeller, and Bourne. 21st appearance, a record of 2-6, ERA over 5. And a number of those appearances have been starts for Brad Thompson this year. So chance for Brad now to make a statement for himself, as we've talked about. If that 5th spot would be open, I'm sure Thompson would want to be in that conversation along with Mitchell Boggs. And what about Blake Hawksworth? Would you even flirt with that idea?
I think every option is available. And, you know, Brad, early in the season when he got his opportunity in the starting rotation, about his first 3 or 4, he was very good. Team normally responds and wins as he keeps you in a game, and the Cardinals get a W. Then he had a couple real bad outings when it really looked like it was going to be between Wellemeyer or Thompson. You know, Wellemeyer stayed in the rotation until tonight when Boggs gets the start, and Willie's down there in the bullpen too. Right now you got 3 long men in your bullpen.
Marlins lead the Cubs 5-2 now. 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th that Florida's picked up. But as Tony even talked about the other day with what Hawksworth did the other night, his role may grow in importance as Coast strikes out. First strikeout for Thompson on the night.
Well, Dan, to me, you know, a lot of times people say, you know, you bring a guy up from the minor leagues, you put him right into a tough spot. Well, to me, that's the way it should be, because you can put him in mop-up roles all you want, you know, come in way ahead, way behind, and you still don't know how they're going to react when the game's on the line. Due to circumstances where Hawksworth was the last man available in that 15-inning game, he gives you 3 shutout innings. I think he had 2 hits allowed. One of them was a swinging bunt. And, you know, in a scoreless game, he goes out there and performs at a high level, gets rewarded with a victory. And all of a sudden now you know, hey, I can trust him. You know, when the game is on the line or when the game's important, where if he doesn't get that opportunity, you'd still be guessing what would happen if he did.
Swing and a miss by Moeller. And, you know, a lot of people talk about Tony and they see from the outside looking in a guy that's on the post-game shows at times cannot be the most happy individual we've seen.
He doesn't look real happy right now either.
1-2 pitch to Moeller, but guys that have played for him will tell you that they feel that he's a very good communicator, and that, you know, you may not know it from the outside looking in. Even opposing players have talked about that, but, you know, the fact is, when they play for him, they love it. Trevor Miller's a good example of that. Trevor Miller was telling me the other night that Tony has used him the best of anybody he's ever been with. And he said situational baseball, he'll talk to me, he does communicate, I have a full understanding of where I sit with the club and what I'm supposed to do. And he said, I just love how he uses me.
Well, you'll notice during batting practice, Tony will make his rounds. And he'll go around and talk to almost everybody he wants to say something to, and whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, but just gets a feel and has that open communication. You know, and every manager always tries to put a guy in a role that he feels he can succeed in, and tries to avoid roles where he thinks you're not capable. But he communicates. And I thought one of the real telling tales is when DeRosa came over. He basically said, hey, look it, don't try and judge me on what you saw on the other side of the field. You just start judging me right now, you know, on what you see now as a Cardinal teammate.
2-2.
From the other side of the field, there's a lot of guys that aren't crazy about Tony La Russa. Now, they know his teams win, but the guys that are committed to his philosophy and his work ethic are the guys that really want to play for him, stay here and play for him. Not every player can play for Tony La Russa because he expects a lot in return from him.
Talked about Tony's future at the end of this year. His contract is up. But if they bring some of these guys back, and also a guy named Albert, he'll be back next year. Pretty good nucleus of players in a pretty good situation here in St. Louis.
Albert is one of those guys who's pretty much gone on record as saying, you know, he only wants to play for Tony. He's also gone on record and saying it's not about money. He's got a couple years remaining on his contract. He's got next year plus an option year. It's all about winning.
Lugo with it, and a nice job by Thompson in relief in this first inning. Astros go 1-2-3. Lugo, Pujols, Holiday coming up. Did not, and that has proven to be the go-ahead run. It's 2-1. Lugo, Pujols, and Holiday here in the 6th inning.
It's time to get a few runs if you're a Cardinal fan.
Julio Lugo is grounded out to short. He has tripled and scored. Only run for St. Louis. About the work by Thompson in that first inning. I know it was the bottom of the lineup with the exception of Bourne, but one thing that he does that I think everybody appreciates, he gets the ball and goes. I mean, there's not a lot of messing around, and he's trying to be aggressive inside the strike zone too.
And what I like about it is at times when you think a sinker baller, usually they say they are more effective when they're tired. He's a guy that you can kind of rest for days on days, and he still will come in and throw strikes.
And it maybe leads into what you were talking about tonight. He threw in the Dodger series last night, but then he comes back tonight maybe a little bit more tired than he would be with rest. So, you know, that sinker ball could be working a little bit better this evening.
And then he went almost 2 weeks without throwing, and it didn't affect his command either.
Time is called. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Some of the Astros a little bit upset because the other day they were in a 14-inning game, and a couple of relievers said they couldn't go, so their next day's starter, Mike Hampton, had to warm up, and then he started the next day and had a rough outing, and you know, but kind of felt like hey, the relievers had their responsibility.
Sure. I'm not sure if Lugo thought that was strike 3. Started walking towards Cardinal dugout, now turns around. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Big game if the Marlins hang on and defeat the Cubs.
Last check, they led 5-2.
Still that, going to the ninth inning. We go the former Astro. Still talking, muttering. Menacing stare.
2-2 pitch. Reaches for it, hits a fly ball into right. Hunter Pence makes the catch. North Stars making this Sunday extra special with ice cream sundaes beginning 2 hours prior to the game in the Ford Plaza. Join us for music, fun, games, and don't forget the free ice cream while supplies last. North Star Ice Cream Sundays. This Sunday, you can run the bases after the game. Build-A-Bear Workshop Day, and it's also a family Sunday. So it will be a busy day here at the ballpark. One out in Pujols. Albert tonight, fly to center, was intentionally walked back in the fourth to bring up Holiday, and he made him pay. Marlins now win. They hold on 5-2. 2 balls and no strikes. Pujols reaches for it and grounds 2 short. 2 away. St. Louis Cardinals, the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, and Fox Sports Midwest have joined together to encourage young people not to smoke, because once you start, it's hard to stop. Strike out tobacco so we can all breathe easier. Call the Missouri Tobacco Quit line at 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
So, Cubs lose today.
Now a final.
Cardinals, with a victory here tonight, would leapfrog back into first place. The Astros are 3.5 games back currently.
What do you think of this theory that the wild card this year comes out of the Central with the Cubs and Cardinals?
I still think it will.
You know, really playing good baseball in the final 2 months.
A lot of people will assume that it was going to come out of the West, but yet to be determined. So many games that, you know, that these pennant races are not decided in the Central Division, and I think the wild card will come.
That's the smoke from the pits, the barbecue pits. Holiday looks at a ball. I think a thing that you have to factor in with the Cubs, they are 21-28 on the road, and they just started playing a stretch of 17 of 23 away from Wrigley Field. They're 33-19 at the friendly confines. 2-1 pitch.
They come here for another series, the Cubs do, but the Cardinals are through with them.
Matt Holliday in hitting streaks, trying to catch up with Charlie Smith. Holliday with 8 to tie Roger Maris, who did it back in 1967, and Bohart had 7-game hitting streak when they first arrived on the scene. 3 balls and a strike on Matt Holliday. Holliday with his first Cardinal home run. Opposite field shot that just got over the wall. The series against Los Angeles. There's so many factors about the trade that it shows your fan base that you're trying to win, and these fans appreciate that, and that's one of the reasons that they're coming out. You have to believe that. And
you've got to show your current team that you're going to do everything you can to help them out.
Holliday into right center field. This guy is a hitting machine. 3 for 3 tonight.
Well, Dan, that's it. I mean, the thing is he hits for a high average with power, and is an RBI machine. Really contrast when you see him lift that front leg up. We're going to have to do a little study. We'll have to get the guys to work on 3 batters. And what I'm thinking of is Jim Edmonds with his wide stance, Albert with just barely picking up the front foot and putting it back right down, just almost coming on the toe. And then Holiday, 3 great hitters, but now there's no one set way.
That's a strike in the outside corner. With those wide stances, if you don't pick up your leg and get the momentum going, you have to have great forearms and wrists and upper body strength, which Edmonds and Pujols obviously had. And Holiday's a big guy too, but he's got both of that.
That used to be the common denominator of power hitters, was wrist and forearms. You're back in the 50s and 60s, your prototypical home run hitter was 5'10" to 6 foot, 180 to 200 pounds. You think of Mays, Maris, Mantle, Aaron, Killebrew. All these guys, they weren't real, giant of men, but they just were kind of country strong and had their wrist and forearms.
I'm not sure that television does it justice, but Matt Holliday is huge. I mean, you go up and shake his hand, and his upper body and his forearms, especially his forearms. I mean, he is a big guy. He's put together.
There's a guy that grew up, in Oklahoma, football player. Just sort of that, probably did a lot of things around, like kids do in farm country.
Comes to the ballpark. He's got a smile on his face. He was down in the field today. He finished up batting practice. He was signing autographs, shaking hands with some of the fans. Seems like he's just taking it all in.
He's a Midwestern kid.
Yep.
I mean, this is his kind of people.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Ludwig.
Should I just say real people?
Well, you look at the situation he was in Oakland, and it's not to disrespect their fans, but I mean, this is not Oakland. This is completely different. You're talking about being in the Bay Area, and people split with the Giants and the A's. Not the history that you have here in St. Louis, and certainly not the fan base with 40,000 plus coming out every night.
And 15 games under 500.
Right.
The A's. I said the other night that we had the long rain delay, and DeRosa and Holiday were looking out and just in disbelief. An hour-and-a-half rain delay, and there's still 40,000 people for first pitch.
The other thing too with Billy Beane, making the trade with Colorado for a guy like Holiday to learn a new league, that's not an easy thing to do. And now there is certainly a comfort level being back in the National League.
Very familiar, and he comes to a ballpark where he hit 500 in it.
3-2 on Ludwig, and a swing and a miss. He strikes out. Give Moeller some credit. He has struck out 4, and Houston leads it 2-1 after 6. by Jeep. The summer clearance is here. Get to your local dealer today and come see the great deals we built for you. Come to the ballpark and father-son taking in the ball game. Always great to see. Here's Kaz Matsui. He leads it off. We're in the 7th, and it's 2-1 Houston. A little better test this time around for Thompson. He'll get Matsui, Tejada, and Lee. Struck out 2 in his first inning of work. Matsui pops it up. Lugo going out. Holiday coming in. Matt Holliday is there. Cardinal fans, when it comes to tickets, you deserve Major League service. So go online to StubHub. It's the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals and the only site with Fan Protect guarantee. Miguel Tejada, a couple of RBIs. 1 out, nobody on.
He's had a really good year, hasn't he?
Sure has. And when it looked like Houston was in a tailspin, you know, privately some of the Cardinals were saying, hey, take a look at Miguel Tejada, see what he can do for our club. But they got right back in it. Rounder too short. Lugo there. You can't tell me right now, though, there's a better guy defensively in the National League at short than Brendan Ryan with what we've seen.
I have to totally agree with you, even though Tejada, you know, Tejada has 12 errors. He had 9 in the first couple weeks, and he's only had 3 in about the last 60 games or so. And they say he's got a lot of chances, a lot of assists and everything, but to me, there's no comparison between Brendan Ryan and his dazzle.
Carlos Lee has singled and doubled. What would it take for Brendan Ryan, and I know some fans are talking about this, the Gold Glove? Now, he's got to play a little bit more, you would think, but he has really opened up some eyes around Major League Baseball, not just with the scouts, but when the opposing teams have a chance to finally get a look and watch him in person. I mean, he's really opening up a lot of eyes.
And that is voted on by the managers and coaches.
Exactly.
So many times this offense wins the defensive award.
7 pitches in that inning for Thompson, and it's time to stretch. Back from Oakland for Eric Ludwig. That's Ryan's brother, TJ Matthews and Blake Stein. Our Cabot Woodstein legendary performance. 2-1. Houston over St. Louis here in the bottom of the 7th, and now you just saw that legendary performance and the trade for Mark McGwire. It just shows you that, you know, on paper everybody can talk about the great prospects that you give away or get in a deal, but when you get the proven talent back, to me, you do it.
Well, Dan, you know, the other day they had that series of those trades recently, and you know, we gave up some, you know, a lot of prospects, but I think that if you really look at it, nobody had the career for the, in comparison to the guys that we got in return. I mean, the only guy that, you know, really has done a nice job, but that trade was done, you know, the Christensen trade for Jack Wilson. You know, Jack's had a great career, and he just recently got traded to Seattle, but Christensen was that left-handed reliever that you needed for, you know, a stretch run. But you know, the McGuire trade, all the stuff, you know, you go all the way back, all those trades. Tell me who you really wanted back.
1 ball and strike on Rick Ankiel.
Except Dan Herron.
But at the time, and we're talking about, you know, guys that are in the minor leagues that you project to be major leaguers. He was a major leaguer, and certainly that turned out to be a mistake. But I mean the guys that you just hear about.
Right.
Brett Wallace is a good example. I mean, you think he's going to be a good player, but you don't know. With Dan Herron, you knew that at this level he could compete at that time.
Yeah, because we saw him, and you saw him be successful at this level. You know, now were we going to project that he was going to be a #1 type? You know, probably not.
2-2 pitch to Ankiel. Now time called. Pitch counted just under 90. It's at 89 right now for Moeller. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ankiel tonight is 0 for 2. Yeah, swing and a miss. And strikeout number 5, and that's 2 in a row for Moeller.
Splitter or something there. You see, kind of see him with a little separation in his fingers.
Here's DeRosa, who's 0 for 2. He has 6 Cardinal home runs. Time called. Struck out swinging in the 3rd. And grounded back to the pitcher in the 5th. 0 for 2 tonight. The pitch taken inside for a ball. Cardinals with a right-hander getting loose in the pen.
Jason Mott in the Cardinal pen. Arias in the Astros.
Reaches for it and grounds it foul. With the inning last night and 2 now under his belt this evening, I'm sure that's why Tony La Russa, instead of trying to extend it, Thompson has another right-hander getting loose, but he only threw 7 pitches last inning. He'd certainly be tempted to throw him back out there.
Well, you throw him back out there unless you get a chance to pitch hit for him.
2-1 pitch. DeRosa out to left. Did he get enough? At the wall, and it's gone. We are tied. It's 2-2. Into the bullpen. DeRosa, his 7th home run with the Cardinals this year.
And 20th overall. Well, he's paid dividends. There's times where he looks struggling a little bit, but 1 for 3 tonight with a home run. He was 3 for 10 against Moeller, and he ties this game. And he's sitting in that familiar 7th hole where he's just a lot more comfortable. Kobe Rasmus was walking out there for the pitcher spot. Now he's been called back, and we'll see if Thompson doesn't pop back out there. 394
feet, the estimated distance of the home run.
Yeah, I keep on pitching Brad Thompson, and that's what Tony is going to do after DeRosa's home run.
2 acquisitions, Holiday and DeRosa. Boy, they paid off again here tonight. Holiday with an RBI base hit in the 4th. He's 3 for 3, and now the home run by DeRosa.
Don't forget Lugo. He got the triple and scored the first run for the Cardinals.
Swing and a miss there by LaRue. He has popped out to 3rd and also singled in the 5th. Finally, they get to Moeller.
It's not like we've really knocked him out of this game yet.
I mean, I just take the run. I mean, this guy is unbelievable against the Cardinals.
It's 5-0. His team is 8-0 in his 8 starts.
A liner past Tejada. Base hit in the left. Let's go pitch by pitch. Moeller to DeRosa. And our pitch by pitch feature all season long presented by Chevrolet.
Fastball in the inside part of the plate. He was 3 for 10 coming in. Over 2. Another fastball in. Then he gets something, a little wrinkle in it, out of the way. And there's the same pitch and catches the ball plate and driven deep into the visitors' bullpen.
You have mentioned many times throughout the year the job that LaRue has done when he starts, and here he's got 2 hits tonight.
And because of the DeRosa home run tying the game at 2-all and the effective pitching of Brad Thompson, he stays in this ball game. You know, he pitched last night. The way they do things now, you're not going to be available for tomorrow. So ride the horse. Ride him as long as you can.
Thompson will be asked to bunt here, you would presume. He
Good
does.
one.
Very good bunt. Only play to first, and the go-ahead run now in scoring position with LaRue at second base. Now, if you're Cecil Cooper, do you go to a lefty?
Well, you do have like Wesley Wright warming up, and Cecil out there with Schumacher coming up. Looks like he's going to go to Wesley Wright. Wesley was hospitalized the other day.
So Wright coming in to face Schumacher when we come back. 2-2.
Just launched out into the visitors' bullpen, tying the game 2-all. Wesley Wright has not been available to pitch the last 2 games while recovering from dehydration. Last pitched on Tuesday, and in that game he allowed 5 walks. This is his 3rd stint with the Astros this year.
Up the middle, base hit. LaRue being waved in. Throw by Bourne. He does not have a good arm, but he makes the play. LaRue is tagged out at the plate by Pudge Rodriguez. And Bourne throws him out from center. Remember in the series last week we saw that arm. And it cost them a run. This time right at the plate.
He's about 15 feet behind second base grass.
Houston, as DeRosa's tied it up with his home run.
You know, Bourne does not have a strong throwing arm, but he was very aggressive, came in. He was very, very shallow.
First pitch, fly ball into left field. Holiday makes the catch. The Cardinals will have Lugo, Pujols, and Holiday. And certainly that could have been a factor as to whether or not you send them or do not send them. He had some pretty good bats coming up, and we talked about how Lugo hits lefties well. Cecil Cooper could have countered with a righty, but then you had Pujols on deck, so would have been interesting to see what would happen. Regardless, here we are in the 8th, 2-2.
And we'll probably see that right-hander. Arias was the one warming up at the start of the inning.
Good job here by Brad Thompson. 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out. Hunter Pence walked 3 times against Boggs. Boggs walked 5 tonight, hit a man. With a 1-1 pitch. Pence reaches for it, taps it foul.
A lot of hitters are graceful. And most left-handed hitters, we always talk about a sweet swing. Well, Pence is a good hitter, but anything but graceful.
1-2 pitch. Lines it to left. Holiday makes the catch. Our crowd tonight, 43,760. The 19th sellout this year. It's great to see.
And well, look at the entertainment they have seen this week from Cardinal baseball.
Well, the Dodger games, that series, it was like watching the playoffs. Some of those games are unreal, some of the moments, but to me, game 3 of that series against the Dodgers that went so long, you know, recent memory, that's one of the best regular season games we've seen in a long time.
I agree with you. Had a little bit of everything in it. And the best part about it was the Cardinal win in 15.
Give the Dodgers credit then for winning game 4 after really a devastating loss.
And Dodgers come out and shut out Atlanta tonight, win 5-0. Still the best record in the National League and the best record in all of baseball.
Rodriguez tonight 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Again, the Cardinals will have Lugo, Pujols, and Holiday coming up their half of the 8th. That's a base hit up the middle for Pudge Rodriguez.
9 batters for the Astros to get their first base runner or base hit against Thompson. And it's a ground ball that just finds a hole.
There's Chris Coast. He was the first batter that saw Thompson, and he struck out back in the 6th. He has also walked in, hit into a double play. 0 for 2 tonight. Fireworks down on the riverfront. You hear that in the background of your TV set.
Nice little view.
Live on the levee tonight.
It's just Friday nights, or I thought it was just for hungos.
Go ahead and promote your bobblehead a little bit more, Al. Who's the candidates for this week?
Oh, I'd have to think that not necessarily Tony, but I'd have to think Holiday's in there. Albert got another game-winning hit. Molina just gutting things out.
1 and 2.
How about the starting staff?
How about Blake Hawksworth?
And you know, T. West, and you did a great job of. Didn't you narrate?
Yes,
a nice
I did.
little tribute to T. West. 20 years of work and how gutsy he is out there dodging balls at batting practice, getting his camera shots, not even looking at home plate or the batter. We all enjoyed that. We gave Tony a standing ovation. Maybe he'll be a Hunger Award winner. Maybe not.
Hasn't he gotten enough attention? Poor Big Dog over here.
Big Dog doesn't agree with Tony getting all the attention.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Tony West is the best though.
We work with the best group. You know, Tony's just part of it. Big Dog, everybody does a great job, and then we have Tim Garcia.
Tony Angelis there.
Yeah.
Mark Rifford, by the way, happy birthday. Works in our crew. Two and 2 the count.
Happy birthday, Mark. Birthday boy.
Turns 38. Broken bat, a single into center. Rodriguez did not advance on that wild pitch that scooted away from LaRue. If he did, might be talking about a 3-2 Houston lead. That is a key play right now. The fact that he did not take second base. Very surprised he didn't, too.
Well, let's look at it again. And, you know, when he should be moving toward second on a secondary lead, he has started moving back to first base. And Dave Duncan out to the pinch hitter. Cato is going to pinch hit here.
Cato is a switch hitter. No activity for the Cardinals in the bullpen. Cubs have lost tonight 5-2. Cincinnati loses 5-3. Milwaukee has jumped out to a 3-1 lead on San Diego. That's in the top of the second. Now Trevor Miller is up.
I'm sure Dusty Baker and Paul Jockney think that Cincinnati is still in this, but they're now 12 games under 500.
First and second. Cada, base hit into left field. Holiday misplays it in left. Rodriguez will score. And it's 3-2 Houston. 3 consecutive base hits. Pudge Rodriguez scores, and it's now 3-2 Houston.
Holiday bobble does not change the scoring. Ball's elevated and just goes the opposite field with it. Line drive out to left. Pudge is going to score, but might have had a throw and no further advancement. So Pudge comes on home with the go-ahead run, but Case cannot advance, so there's no error on that play.
2 outs, 2 on. LaRue out to visit. So Houston comes back to take the lead. It's 3-2. This done with 2 outs. It looked like he was going to cruise in this inning. He got the fly out by Blum, Pence, a line out, Rodriguez, Coast, and then K to the pinch hitter. All 3 with the singles.
But it's that same scenario that Cardinal pitchers have to tie the score or get a lead. They just can't stop the Astros. That's been going on since the last series in Houston and continuing here tonight. And now Trevor Miller is ready and he'll be coming in.
Matt Canha, the RBI base hit. Fredbird having some fun tonight. 3-2 here in the top of the 8th.
I think the little guy outperformed Fredbird.
Trevor Miller into the ball game to face Bourne.
Boy, has he performed for the Cardinals.
42nd appearance, and he just gets better and better.
ERA right at 2. The opponent's 188, but left-handers are just 111. 7 for 63. Has 2 more inherited runners, 37 prior to tonight, and only 6 of those 37 have scored.
First pitch to Bourne, swung on and missed. Of course, Trevor Miller spent time with Houston, one of his stops in the major leagues. Bourne with 2 doubles tonight. Runs scored. He struck out and also grounded out to short. I'm thinking Thompson was going to sail through that inning. You think about Bourne's play, throwing out LaRue, Jose Oquendo trying to be aggressive in a move that did not pay off, and that momentum shifted back to Houston.
Well, it looks like that right now, and as you said, Michael Bourne doesn't have a very good throwing arm, but if you talk to Oquendo, he said it doesn't matter if a guy does have a good throwing arm, we're going to challenge him.
You can see how tough Miller would be on these lefties. You really have to hang in there with your front shoulder just to try to put the bat on the ball.
If you can get that ball to the outer half of the plate from that sidearm delivery, it's very tough on these lefties. And mentioned they're only batting 111 against him, but he's struck out 12 of his last 26 batters he's faced, and that's lefties and righties.
3-2 Houston here in the 8th. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's the pitch
right there.
Yeah. You can throw that for a strike. You really just, as you mentioned, you got to hold that front shoulder in, almost dive across the plate, and just totally think about hitting the opposite field. If he hangs one, then you can still have to have that front shoulder held in, but then you can turn on that pitch.
His fastball, because you always see those sliders, all of a sudden he'll throw that fastball that just is really quick and in on in on the hands of a left-handed hitter if he spots it properly.
And that's it. You got to spot it on the inner part of the plate.
2-2.
There's a fastball there. Not really trying to get that in above the hands. A lot of times what you want to do to lefties, they're all low ball hitters, so you want to bust that ball above their hands, just locking them up.
2-2 the count. 2 outs, 2 on, a 3-2 Houston lead. Got him on the outside corner. Bourne throws his bat, throws his helmet. Houston on top. Last year with Houston, he was 1-1, and he did make 12 appearances with Colorado in 2008. So Julio Lugo leads it off for the Cardinals, 1 for 3 tonight.
There he has had a streak of 22 consecutive appearances without allowing an earned run. That was snapped on July 26 when he allowed 3 earned runs and 2 innings of work. But he's been very reliable for the Astros, and here he is pitching with a 1-run lead in the 8th before they get to their closer, who's very good.
It's Valverde. He's waiting. Kind of slings the ball up there. He falls off to the first base side. One ball, one strike. Houston had those very good teams early 2000s and obviously 04 and 05. They had Billy Wagner, they had Dotel, Lidge, Qualls. It's blowing away. By the way, we're going to see the Mets. We'll see the numbers this year on Arias on Tuesday and Wednesday. And with all the injuries they've had, the one guy that may come back before anybody, Billy Wagner.
And you know who's heated up is Wright. When we were there for that 4-game set, he was kind of struggling a little bit, but he's gotten hot of late.
Delgado's out still. Jose Reyes is out. And the Mets starting to get buried now in the National League East. Nearly 10 games out. 2-2 here on Lugo. See Arias with all that movement, whips the ball up there, and the Houston folks feel that they have found a guy that in the 8th inning with his recent string can get you to Valverde, and they talk about his breaking ball as being one of the plus pitches that he's really started to control.
Well, you can see he kind of hides the ball a little bit, slings. It's from the Dominican Republic.
There's that breaking ball right there.
And in some ways, he kind of reminds you of Julio Dotel.
Octavio Dotel.
Octavio. And set up outside, and there you see that breaking ball just breaking away and down. So you got hit one fellow countryman, but this is a little different when you face an Albert.
And Pujols hit by the pitch, brings in Holiday. Trying to throw that breaking ball.
Yeah, they don't like it, but it was not on purpose. And right now, it's the last thing that you want to do is put the tying run on base with just one out and bring up Holiday. He was 3 for 3 with an RBI tonight.
One of the great things about having Franklin as your closer, the fact that you feel comfortable if need be to go in the 8th. And a lot of managers don't feel that way with their closers. Not to say that you'd bring him in here, but if you get that second out and you wanted to bring him in, Tony La Russa would have zero issues bringing in Franklin with 2 innings.
You could second guess a lot of things last night, and one of them being, remember, he let Franklin go out for the second inning, got the first man out, and then he took him out. And then things started falling apart. He brought in Reyes, lefty setup. And Reyes didn't do the job. Cardinals end up losing.
There's so many things in that inning. You could have Franklin, as you said, stay in. You could have had Reyes try to get the third out and then start the next inning with Wellemeyer.
Sure.
Which, as we talked about, probably would have been our preference to see that. But Tony went with the righty-righty matchup. Just didn't pay off.
Yeah, and Reyes is the one that messed up with one out, walked the first man after replacing Franklin. And then remember, he had a wild pitch in there that the base hit that Wellemeyer gave up. Without that wild pitch, they load the bases, they don't score.
Career in St. Louis, both stadiums, Busch Stadium 2 and this one, 441, 6 home runs, 15 driven in. The 1-2 pitch. We talk about guys that swing the bat. I mean, Holiday swings the bat. There's not many check swings, and when he decides to let it go, he lets it rip.
And I think when you watch him, that's what you like about him, because he swings hard. He makes a high average guy that has power, likes to be in RBI situations.
2-2. Breaking ball down the right field line. Fair ball to the wall. Pujols digging for third. They're going to wave him in. Throw to the plate. Not in time. And Holiday does it again. We're tied up 3-3. 4-hit night for Matt Holiday.
Certainly a club a week, and he's already had 2 4-hit games as a Cardinal, tying his career high. Last Friday he had a 4-hit game, his first game with the Redbirds, and again here tonight. He got that breaking ball and just slices it. He sprays the ball around. He hits to all fields. And there it goes to show you that the last thing they wanted to do was hit Albert, put the tying run on base. And Albert, that ball down the corner, took Pence a long time to get to it, get it back in. And look at Albert, how he goes right after here. Ludwig telling him he's got to get down. And he slid so aggressively, he knocked right Pudge, who wasn't even, was 5 feet away from the plate.
And that ball scoots away. Holliday to third, and he is safe. For Matt Holliday, it was just a week ago he had a 4-hit night. And here we are on another Friday night and a 4-hit night.
Now, are they going to send him back? Gary Darling. I'm not too sure about this one, as the trainers will have to see Pudge. So, is there interference at the plate or something?
I saw Pudge screaming after the play, and I thought just because of frustration.
Oh, bad break for the Cardinals, and you hope. Look like the thumb. Let's watch here.
Was Ludwig in his way?
It's nothing to do with Ludwig, and he could stand right there in his way. Now, did he hit the umpire? Gary Darling got down to try and get a good look, but he hits the umpire on his follow through, and so
home plate umpire is Gary Darling.
Yeah, watch Gary Darling. He's the crew chief also. But Darling will get down, but here he's so close to him. When he throws it, after he releases it, he smashes his hand into Darling's head. Man, that was after the throw. And even if Ludwig is standing right there, it doesn't matter. He's entitled. He doesn't have to get out of the way. So the umpire's judgment is send him back because he feels like he interfered with the play. But and of course Gary Darling feels horrible that involved with a player.
I can't believe Tony hasn't come out and asked what's going on here.
Well, he did come out,
but I mean in fight
now
for
he's
it.
going. Well, that's what I'm thinking he's going to do. He might have got a question on the replay, and now he's going to sit there. You know, in my mind, you know, he didn't interfere with the act of throwing. It was after he released the ball. And that's what they're arguing about right now. So watch where he's standing right there. He throws the ball, and then his fall through hits him right on the forehead, and that's where he injures his thumb.
That's a terrible break for the Cardinals. So Holliday back to second with one out instead of being at third. Ludwig says, okay, let's get a base hit. This Cardinals team just not a lot of quit, is it? I mean, they just keep coming and coming and coming.
That's what you love about it. That's why the fans come out, because they know they're going to be entertained and they're going to see the game. They'll see.
Well, now it gets to the backstop.
That's justice.
Sure is. 2-0.
Now why did I use my whiteout?
A wild pitch here. Here's Cecil Cooper in the back of his mind. You think, would I walk Ludwig here? Yeah, now he's going to do it. And then pitch to Ankiel.
Set up a double play. Unconventional right-hander pitching to the left-hander, but because of that breaking ball, they may feel that it's a better matchup.
Remember last night, Quo against Ankiel, 3 pitches, all fastballs, and struck him out.
We've seen changeups tonight. What is Cecil Cooper saying to Arias here?
Yep, throw the hard one. Keep on going at it. Now, Ankiel's swinging the bat a little better, but when we were in Houston, he could not hit a fastball above the belt.
Base hit in the left. Cardinals lead it. Holiday scores, and Ankiel comes through. 4-3, St. Louis.
Based on the way Ankiel was swinging the bat in the Houston series, that made total sense to me. But you also need to have the pitcher elevate the ball. You got to get the ball up, and he gets it down, and that's why he makes contact. It's away and a good piece of hitting going with the pitch the other way. But I'm sure in the minds of the Astros, they wanted not only the fastballs, they wanted to elevate it.
DeRosa is homer tonight. That was back in the 7th, and a big one tonight. Cardinals lead it 4-3. Since July 24th, 31 runs scored, 6th inning or later for the Cardinals. That's good to see. Just tells you how this team is grinding through. As DeRosa chops it to third, out there on to first, and Coast is on the bag, double play. Ricky Ankiel comes through. Franklin coming in. It's 4-3 St. Louis.
Now we send it back to Dan and Al. Guys.
Rick Ankiel, the potential game-winning RBI as he comes through. And Ryan Franklin, the Cardinal closer, is in, and the new catcher is Yadier Molina. Great numbers this season, all season long for Ryan Franklin, the all-star for the Cardinals.
40th appearance. He picked up save number 23 on Monday night. Second among Major League relievers with that 1.36 ERA. And there you see Yachty, part of the double switch.
Matt Holliday, our Budweiser player of the game. 4 for 4, 2 RBIs, a run scored. Boy, is he paid off.
Had a pretty good start to his Cardinal career, hasn't he?
Unbelievable.
Played in 8 games. He's hit in all 8 games. He's come up with big RBIs. He's had 2 4-hit games in those 8.
Well, here we go. Matsui, Tejada, and Lee. 2, 3, and 4 for Houston. You know Franklin would love to return the favor to blowing that save against Houston last week. Matsui tonight, a sacrifice. He has walked singled, scored, stole a base, and also fly to left. Base hit into right. Tying run is on. To keep an eye on him, but Franklin very good at keeping runners close. He snaps at the baseball, not happy there. Here's Tejada.
He's tough to steal against, and also he gets a lot of ground balls to see if the Cardinals can turn the third double play of the night.
Tejada, a couple of RBIs tonight. Against Ryan Franklin, he is 10 for 33. It was Tejada that had that game-winning base hit off of Franklin last week in Houston.
Turnaround is fair play. Sounds like a double play about to happen.
And Tejada is grounded into a double play tonight, back in the third. That pitch is strike. RBI single in the first, ground out for an RBI in the fifth. And twice he has grounded to short. This has been such an entertaining homestand, well played games. Cardinals took 3 of 4 from the Dodgers, and now trying to take the first game here against Houston. And with the win, moving to first place, where the Cubs lost tonight. Last season, Tejada, his first year in Houston, got to the Cardinals. And Cal McClellan with a home run.
Dan, this year he's only hitting .222 against the Cardinals, but 6 RBIs, and they seem like they've all been big RBIs.
That was last week. Keppinger scored. Houston won it 4-3. 0-2 pitch. One-two, and Tejada gets underneath it and pops it up. Mark DeRosa makes the play for the first out. Very dangerous Carlos lead. Big out there with Tejada.
Yeah, Carlos, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs the last 10 games. That includes that grand slam and that other big home run against the Cardinals. Got 298 career home runs, 2 away from 300, and he'd be the first Panama-born player to reach that milestone in Major League history.
First pitch to him. The strike is Matsui. Fake running to second. Now Franklin's got those quick feet too. He's able to twist and throw to first base very quickly. Hold that runner close. Very good move. A little bigger lead this time for Matsui. 0-1 pitch. Check swing. Strike. 0-2.
Franklin facing a guy with great power and a perennial 100 RBI type guy, but you know, a rarity in today that he doesn't strike out often. And now he's one of the toughest guys to strike out, and he has as many strikeouts as he has walks, just 30.
Sets up outside. Let's see if he gets the ground ball. Good pitch. That's the pitch right there. You get him to reach and roll over and ground out to short. Lee with a double and a single tonight. 7th inning or later, he's hitting .250 on the year. The 1-2 instead of check.
Just talking about those quick feet. He got a little easier now that he's trimmed up his goatee.
One-two pitch to Lee. Gets a piece to stay alive. How relieved is Gary Darling, as Gary Darling was involved with that controversial play.
Arias was kind enough to throw a wild pitch on the very next pitch to give the Cardinals the same result.
Big gap in the left center for Lee. Outfield deep. 1-2 pitch to Carlos Lee. Ground ball, little chopper. Lugo to second, out there. They'll get the lead runner.
It wasn't hit hard enough to be a double play.
Brings in Blum. Fans on their feet here at Busch.
Victory puts the Cardinals back in first place over the Cubs, and Dave Duncan out to talk to Franklin.
Pinch runner now, that's Michaels. Knowing Franklin and how he likes to deal with these situations, go right at him. Blum 2 for 5 with a strikeout against Ryan Franklin.
And he came in today, Blum as a switch hitter, hitting 100 points higher from the right side of the plate.
Fans on their feet here at Busch Stadium. First pitch is a strike. Carpenter goes tomorrow, Wainwright on Sunday, and trying to get this first win of the series. Michaels a runner at first. 0-1 pitch to Blum. Here it comes. Ground ball, right side. Schumacher is there to Albert, and the Cardinals win it. A win for St. Louis. Big night for Matt Holliday and the Cardinals. Holliday with 4 hits, 4 for 4 tonight. What an addition he has been. Post-game show coming up. You'll hear from Tony La Russa and the players. Big win, 4-3 St. Louis.